So what is it that you guys do?
Okay.
So yeah, just so everybody understands how this worked out, I was kind of feeling it when she's like the salesperson gets into a meeting and makes a promise. We did not come here to pitch today, but when Ashish was asked if we could, the answer was we can do that. So that's I should preface everything that we say. We'll have as many questions as we have answers.
Because Fred doesn't refuse an opportunity to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
So it can always say.
By the way,
Yeah.
neither do I. There's a reason for that. I made $100 and something thousand with one speech, and I learned the power of getting in front of even a small group of people, what it can do to your life, right?
No, and I've always felt the same way. And it's funny because I grew up. My father is a rank extrovert. I mean, just loves people like Ashish, right? He just loves to be with people and this kind of stuff. I am an introvert. It makes me extraordinarily nervous. But I grew up emulating my father, and now it's just like I've learned to suppress that, right? So as soon as we're done here, like I'll be asleep.
So what is it you're coming? Go back to the first question. What is it you guys do?
So we're a health IT company. So we're interested in software for doctors, software around healthcare, and we had a project that really took off. We did a Freedom of Information Act request for data about how doctors and hospitals work together to deliver healthcare in the United States. We did a data Freedom of Information Act request, and we got back something that was really just amazing. And in fact, I doubted whether or not they would give it to us until the day I got the CD.
What was the impulse of doing that? I'll explain why I'm interested in it.
That's kind of an interesting story too. So I've been in health IT for years, and I knew Todd Park when he was at Athena Health, right? So we just kind of chummed around, and we were both kind of relatively unimportant health IT guys. And then Athena took off, and then he became. So now he's the CTO of the federal government. I'm seeing in the Health 2.0 meeting, and I was like, you know what? I've been thinking about making our FOIA request in this form. And the form is, you get Dr. A, you get Dr. B, and if they see the same patient within the same 30 days, I want to count that as like one. And obviously there should have to be a threshold for patient privacy, so you have to see 11 patients that way in a year before we get that data. But in general, I was just chatting with him. I was like, I don't know what I think about it. And he was like, there's these rules. I know a lot more now that I'm the CTO of HHS about how this works. And you make a request like that, and there's a process that it goes through. And if it gets to the bottom of that process, like is it a national security threat? Is it a this? Is it this? You get to that bottom, then we give it to you. And I was like, well, what the hell? Why not? And I made the request, and lo and behold, after a lot of bureaucratic shuffling, they gave it back to me. And of course, this is such a huge data set because we talk about the importance of social graphs, and LinkedIn is exploding, and Twitter is exploding, and Facebook is exploding. And of course, they have a picture of society as a whole that is so deep.
Yeah, you showed it to me on your phone, right?
Yeah, no, that's ours.
Okay.
That's our picture, and of course, you've seen the same picture. Facebook has that for the whole world, right? All the connections and everything else. And that's great, but that's their intellectual property. They're holding on to that. So what we did is we made this agreement with the Freedom of Information Act office. So we don't want to have to pay for this, but we will open this data set when we get this, and we didn't charge us for this. So we did. We opened up the data set, and now there's this huge open source community around what is the largest social graph that has real names.
How did this data set come to you? Was it an Excel file?
No, I mean that's the thing. It's a text file on a little CD. The first one, right?
What's a CD?
Yeah, it's the thing that looks like a DVD but holds less data.
But it's basically 3 columns by 64 million rows.
Yeah.
And the first column identifies the first physician that a patient saw. The second column is the second physician in 30 days.
Come on.
And then the third column is the occurrence rate.
So you had to write some magic software to take that and do something useful.
It's actually interesting because we've investigated open source graph databases, and we've been pushing MySQL to its limits, and it's amazing what you can get on a little home supercomputer with like way too much RAM and to work with this. But more importantly, we turn it over to this community of data scientists who are willing to work on this, and they have done some amazing things, analyzing how states work together, analyzing how cities work together.
I'll speak a little bit just to how that happened. At Strata RX last October. So we made the public announcement that we had this data set, and we gave it to everybody that attended the conference last Strata. And immediately the Google group for Slack graph like blew up. It's got, I don't know, a couple hundred members now. They're all data scientists. They're all republishing their efforts back to the community. And then we created a bifurcated product strategy around the data. One, that we support the open source data release and that community. And the second one, we are licensee essentially of that data and built some analysis and presentation layer on top of that data. And so now that we have a proprietary product, and we also have the open source underneath it.
So now what are you doing with it? You got this cool database, people